What is up, my fellow net dwellers? Couch Command here, the teddy bear who teaches you how to mod different games. Today we're taking a look at Dragon Age Origin, obtained via EaPlay through the Gamepass. And just like last time, we're going to have a special for you at the end, where if you stay to the end, I have a set of instructions for using all of the different mods that I used in my shorts for this week. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright, so we're going to start this off how we always do. Let's just install the game. I do have previous saves on this. Install is purely just to show all the DLC's been wiped out. The folders are gone. All that's left is my normal save locations. So install can take us out to our EaPlay. We get to pick an install location. I am a firm believer in not installing on my D drive just because the D drive for me is a spin disk, which is slow as all get out. Versus I got a new, what's it called? Samsung Evo or something like that in VME. And that thing works so much faster. And now we're going to wait because this is going to install the game and all the DLC. And it's going to be a little bit. So if we actually come over to here, we got the download manager. It's prepping and then we'll actually get our download rate. Anyways, I'm going to fast forward through this. You guys enjoy the music. All right, now we have all the software downloaded. Let's go ahead and go launch the game. So this one should be, that's Dragon Age 2. Here's Dragon Age Origins. Let's go ahead and go play. This is just to show off the vanilla state of the game. Not much to it. The mods we're going to be installing are going to be Lock Bash and Improved Environment, which should add some more NPCs to the area, make it feel more lived in. Also update some of the styling and images for the NPCs. So whenever you're modding the game, let me go ahead and switch to a character where I played modded. And you try to load the game, it'll actually pop up something like this, where it basically says you can't load the game due to whatever the mod is, right? It's missing a mod that's required. You can force load it to start the game anyways if you want. May or may not work, could break the game, whatever. That's why you got to be careful with the whole mod versus non-mod. So anyways, let's go ahead and load into this one and validate some behavior. Because it didn't actually clear out the files. Isn't that fun? So essentially what's happening right now is I linked to a previous location where I had saved the game before and it didn't actually do a cleanup on it. As a result, it is just bombing out on the loading because it's trying to load some texture overrides that are not functioning for this. The old gods can kind of play havoc with actually trying to get into that first area of the Chantry, or the first area as far as this goes. The load game. Let's try this one more time. See if the game will actually load for me. There we go. So yeah, that was just purely the old gods playing havoc through the install location. So do be careful. Some of the texture mods, some of that will create crashes and cause problems. You just got to be careful. So with bash locks, we'd be able to click on this and break it. I have insufficient squeals, so I can't bash it. Okay, good. Then go look at some of the NPCs real quick. These servants should be relatively basic textures, so they should probably be caught as part of the atmosphere. We should be able to tell quickly on that one. Okay. And there's one more spot up over here where you have all of the people who got banged up in the fight so far. The field hospital, whatever you want to call it. Come up here. Got a couple of different people. Knights, Chantry, Knights, Nurse, random injured people. All right. go ahead and exit the game and start modding. So, there's two relatively straightforward ways to mod this game. Honestly, there's a ton of ways to mod this game. They have mod loaders for it. They have mod installers for it. Mod managers, you name it, whatever. But our way of starting is first we're going to view properties and we're going to browse. As far as mods go, we're going to be using Lock Bash, which should make it where we can bash open locks and doors and chests and all that instead of actually needing to unlock it. So if you don't have lockpicking skills, you can smash it. Improved Atmosphere, which should actually update the NPCs and make them look different. They have a ton of different images for this, but it adds hundreds of new items and equips most NPCs with them, blah, 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 adds new ways of handling it, all that stuff, right? Ups the town life, essentially. The next thing we're going to be doing is utilizing the DA Origins LLA. So what this is large address awareness. Due to how old Dragon Age Origins is, it's only thinks it's a 32-bit. And as a result, you can only use 2 gigabytes of RAM for the game. You run into large address issues around, like Fallout New Vegas has large address issues and some other stuff. So instead of getting stuck down at 2 gigabytes, this allows us to use 4, so we're basically doubling the amount of RAM we can utilize with this. We're also a 64-bit machine, and we have more RAM than we can shake a stick at, so it's not a big deal. I use the pre-patched version, which you can download here. You can do it yourself if you want to. Whatever makes you happy. And they have a virus report for it, but my disclaimer for all mods is be aware there is potential for you to essentially install a virus. Modding games is not the safest thing as far as your computers go. You can easily install a virus on accident or whatever. Mod Nexus does this nice thing where they'll tell you if they've scanned the file for a virus, but that's no guarantee. Frequently, virus scans and all that are behind viruses. Like, hacking is often pushing forward viruses as far as that goes. And security only can be defensive. It's very rarely preemptive. Anyway, after that long route, let's go ahead and look at these files here. I've already downloaded them. So if I go to downloads, so we've got Log Bash IA, which is the atmospheric aware improved atmosphere, and then the LAA, which is the large address. These are all a mix of 7-zip, zips, RARs, whatever. Again, use your 7-zip, extract files, pick your location, it'll extract them. You end up with a file just like this guy here. No alterations have been done to this. So let's go ahead and first install the large address, because that is going to make life a little bit easier for us. So if we come into large address here, we've got the DA Origin EXE. So if we go into the, I think it's bin ship. Yep. We just click and drag the BA Origins over to it and replace. That should handle the large address piece. So that's pretty straightforward. Again, we're just going to click and drag and replace. I'd already done that, but we're doing it again because I realized I did it off screen. All right, next up is for the IARC, the improved atmosphere. So where we're going to go is down into packages for, we're going to go ahead and create a new folder. This is the same folder you saw me delete over earlier, which is called Override. Now, Override is essentially like all the Fallout games, whatever. It's a texture override location. So all the images in here that match the naming convention for images in the game, we'll override them, right? So let's go ahead and go into Override. We're just going to click and drag Improved Atmosphere over to it and wait for the files to copy. Texture files get bulky, so it might take a little bit, but that's kind of within expectation, right? All right, now that that's installed, it handles the texture override, but just like Fallout New Vegas, Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind's the last one, you have the ability to actually install essentially DLC as well. So kind of like the BSE files, Dragon Age Origins has this thing called a DAZIP. So DAZIP is a specific zip format for DAZIP. It's essentially a format dedicated for Dragon Age Origins zip files. You notice there's a couple here over in our core override, packages, core override, improved atmosphere, global materials. So to actually make all of the improved atmosphere work, we'll have to install that. It's pretty straightforward because they actually in bin ship have this thing called the DA updater. What this does is it loads DA zips. So we're going to go ahead and add some DA zips. We got Lockbash here, so let's go ahead and add. I'm playing the generic Origins, not Awakening, so I'm just going to add the generic one. Then we're going to go ahead and select DA zips again. And we're going to go over to the improved atmosphere and global and materials. And we're going to select both of these guys. Oh, I just realized. So OW is for the original Origins and Awakening is for the Awakening. So in all technicality, I probably could have just done both of these. Once we have them here, we can just click and install them. And now we have installed all of those DLCs. So now if we actually close out of this, close out of this, close out of this, and run our game, we should have those additional mods available to us. So what's really cool is for those DA zips, if you go into downloadable content and go into the installed content, you can see here new materials for Dragon Age Origin, new materials for IA, Lockbash. So all those DA zips will actually display. So you can tell in-game if they have been loaded. You can also enable or disable them. So if we go ahead and load this, we should now be able to bash a lock. That is the goal. I have nobody who can currently pick locks in my party. So if I come over here, I should now bash the lock. So obviously different than the first time around, right? All right, now let's go check and make sure our improved atmosphere is working. Now that we know we can bash locks, let's go take a look at some NPCs and see if we've actually got some change. Well, these ones look pretty similar. Not seeing any difference as far as their texture or look. Wonder how mad they're going to be when I punch this thing. Lost 1C. Oh, cool. So whenever you're bashing stuff, you lose a little bit of the money or whatever. There's some side effects. It might be that doing this area was possibly not the best one because this is not an actual town. All the characters are looking relatively similar. Oh, now he's got a cool looking sword. I'm fairly sure that's different. Pretty sure at least. We'll have to compare it to do side by side with the other one, but at least it looks like their items are potentially different for those knights. I'm not really seeing anything different as far as the textures on characters go, but it is loaded. So, voila. That is how you mod Dragon Age Origins. Now, let's go ahead and go a little crazy. And just load a variety of mods. We're also going to be loading. We've got EPICest ReTextures, Alley of Murder, which is an extension to an area. We've got auto looting, which basically lets you auto loot bodies. Extra dog slot, which I'm a big fan of. That one basically lets you have the dog as a 5th companion whenever your other 3 slots are full. Old Gods. Old Gods is a texture mod case. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to load this one for this piece or wait until next one because it kind of, you saw that it refused to load. And that's kind of what you're going to run into with some textures. We got Bombshell Bodies, which is a female model alteration. We've got high definition environments, which increases the detail in the environments you walk into. These are fixes for essentially allowing you to patch the fix for D&D, patch the DLC. So this allows all this stuff to kind of work a little better. So let's go ahead and just go crazy and install all of it. So if I come back into my downloads folder, that's recordings. Come back into my downloads. There we go. And we go to manage and manage add-ons. Nope. Manage view properties. Browse. So we're going to come back into here. And let's go ahead and go into all the rest here. So we want auto loop, bombshell bodies, EPICest ReTexture, old gods, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. All of these here are all part of texture overrides. So if we go ahead and just cut these guys, go into our packages, core, and override, we can just paste all these folders, and it should automatically enable all those textures. So there are the 5 gigabytes going across. So we're going to go ahead and next. So we're going to just load all of these items over into here. And then we're going to go ahead and find, I want to say it's this guy. This right here is just a bat file, and it should update and fix some of the texture issues that you can potentially run into. This is the this one here, where it is the DLC transfer to Awakening. So this just allows your DLC to function over an Awakening by Mad Method. Honestly, I'm not running Awakening, so it won't do anything, but we're going to go ahead and run it anyways, just because why not? So there we go. So that should have fixed that. By the way, if you have any question on what it actually does, you can just edit a BAC and it'll give you all the details. So BAT is just a bat file. It's essentially doing a set of executable commands. All right, next up, we want to just find all the DAZIPs and load those in. So we're going to go over into our bin ship and go into DA. Whoop, that launches the game. We didn't want to do that, especially while we're in the middle of copying textures. So we cancel that. Wait. Okay. Anyways, we want to go into the DA updater, and we want to go find some of those additional DA zips. So we're going to come into downloads, all the rest. We want Alley of Martyrs. And then we've got the auto zip. Let's see, do we have any others? Again, you can just search DA zip in any of this to see. So we've got auto loot and Alley of Murderers. So that's done. So let's go ahead and install those ones. Okay. Then if we come into Dragon Age Origins itself, and we're going to go over into our packages that we loaded over and go into override, we're going to just search DAZIP here as well. It looks like new materials is the only one. So we've got all the all the textures transferred. I'm missing the dog, aren't I? Yep, sure am. 2 seconds. Then all we got to do is come back and install the bin ship updater, select DAZIP, go back to downloads and extra dog, and install. I don't know why, but this one always hangs kind of like there. It doesn't go all the way over, but it is installed. Oh, yeah. So now we've got all of the textures ever. It's not all, but it's a lot. Like, we have a lot. It was 5 gigabytes of textures we just moved over here, so we've got a ton of textures. EPICest DAO. Honestly, I'd probably. I think that one's might be a little too in there. So cut and paste. Old gods. Right click. Cut. Then we've got part 1s through part 4s of all the high definition texture, then improved atmosphere and bombshell bodies. So all of that's loaded up. Let's go ahead and run the game. we're going to go ahead and go to downloadable content now and installed content. And we should now have Lock Bash. Yep. The new materials. Lock Bash Awakening. Alley of Murderers. Auto Loot. Extra Dog Slot. All those are in there. If we go ahead and load game, this one might bomb now. That is purely because we put so many textures on here. They don't always play the nicest. Oh, we're in. So we should have improved textures. We should have the ability to do batch locks. Oh. Voila. We should have improved textures on several different things. It's always debatable and hard to figure out which textures have been overrides and what haven't. Lots of them do texture overrides around certain characters. But yeah. So now we have all those texture overrides. We have the third dog companion. We have all that stuff. So voila. We have successfully modified Dragon Age Origins multiple times now with multiple sets of basically all the good stuff, including the high definition environments, the improved atmosphere, dog zip, auto loot, you name it. It's all in there. This was Couch Command. You guys all have a good night, a great tomorrow, and an amazing rest of the week. I'll see you next time.